lecturer. Thank you for coming, my dear colleagues, my dear fellow friends. Today, as all of you know, that we will be discussing together about metabolic syndrome. And this is our group members. Without further ado, I would like to continue with our presentation today, starting with what is actually metabolic syndrome. Does anybody knows what is actually metabolic syndrome? Just raise your hand. Anybody around? Are you still alive? Because I can see people moving. Right, so let me tell you what is metabolic syndrome. It's a component of 5 syndromes. Okay, five matters inside it. First, you will see there's increase of weight, especially at the belly side. Okay, because we have so many shapes of fat, obesity shape, right? You know, pear shapes. What else? Apple shapes, right? So mainly it's like pear shapes. Okay, sorry. And high triglyceride, I'm sure all of you know what's triglyceride here. And blood pressure, elevated blood pressure, high blood sugar, especially fasting, the fasting one, and HDL, low HDL. Why is low HDL? Everybody knows here. For the foreigners over here, we call it we tell our patient the good cholesterol. And the bad cholesterol is LDL. Right. So that is just now 5 components. The syndrome. Yeah. The National Cholesterol Education Program's Adult Treatment Planetary Report says that identify that syndrome, all you see, if you have it in any patients that you come to you, you have to give more clinical attention. You have to focus on them because it has high risk of cardiovascular disease. Okay. What is a cardiovascular disease? Anybody knows? Like what? Just give me 1 or 2. Anybody? Heart attack, stroke. Yeah, that is all the cardiovascular disease. So another part, you don't have to have all the 5 matters, right? 5 condition. You by definition itself, we have 3 or more. If you all remember when we were in the medical school, there's rheumatoid arthritis, endocarditis. We have the criteria. You don't have to have all the symptoms. You may have 3 or 4. And this, for metabolic syndrome, you have to 3 or more. You have to have either obesity. If you don't have obesity, but you have hypertension, you have cholesterol, you have blood pressure up, you may not have obesity. You can be included in this metabolic syndrome. Okay, right. This is to show you the component of the mechanism of a metabolic syndrome, whereby it relates with one another. Okay, if you have, for instance, hypertension leads to atherosclerosis, vascular damage, and you will, and also can be due to your cholesterol deposited in your blood vessels that cause atherosclerosis, which later on will give rise to hypertension and so on and so forth. Okay, this is so a relationship between all the components of 5 syndrome just now. We can see that diet, physical inactivity, stress, which can lead to obesity, and also can lead to genetic susceptibility of all others, insulins, which is later going to be diabetic, becoming a diabetic, and also blood pressure. It relates to one another. So, in anywhere that a patient may have sign and symptom, you have to investigate more and get all the 5 components just now not to put them in the metabolic syndrome, but to make sure that we give more clinical attention to them. Okay. A bit of metabolic syndrome prevalence in Malaysia. We found out that 25 to 40% of adult populations of Malaysia have a increased risk with increased risk of age has the metabolic syndrome. Okay, and obese children are also at risk. Okay, Indian also have this, maybe because of their diets, physical activities that can cause them to obesity, hypertension, cholesterol. Indians, likes to eat curry, right? Your main food is curry, so curry has a lot of fat. Okay, so it was found a higher prevalence of metabolic syndrome in socioeconomic determinants. Among it is living in urban area, unemployed, stress, itu, cholesterol level high, low income, choose cheap food, cost whatever inside the notes. Low income can cause low quality of food, right? Can lead to low education level, not knowing which food to choose, how to react, how to move, to increase in physical activity, and shift work. Apparently, shift work is quite common around us, especially the doctors nowadays. We have shift works. Okay, without further ado, we would like you to join us to watch a video that can tell you, all of us, what we are focusing on later on. Let us watch.
Welcome to our world's most prestigious beauty pageant, Miss Universe 2018. Before we start our pageant today, I would like to call upon our three judges, a well-known fashion designer from Turkey. Welcome, Mr. Tony. Our second judges, our previous Miss Universe 2017, Miss Jelly. And the last judges, a well-known businesswoman, a well-known entrepreneur in Malaysia. Welcome, Miss Nadila Vida. So, judges, before we would like to call upon our contestant for today, would like to add anything?
At the first, hi guys. I'm sure all of you know me or know us, of course. I'm one of the most famous designers in this region. So let's start with our amazing show.
Wow, I'm so excited! Yay!
Okay, thank you, judges. Dear members of the audience, without wasting any more time, I would like to call upon the contestant. The first contestant from Korea, Miss Jenny. Our second contestant from Indonesia, welcome, Miss Umi. Our third contestant from Fiji, Miss Kavi. Our fourth contestant from Middle East region, Qatar, Miss Kiss. Last but not least, our final contestant from Thailand, Miss Poon. Okay, welcome all the gorgeous ladies from all over the continent. Judges, up to you.
I have a question. What are you guys doing here actually?
What else? We are here for the competition. Is there any problem?
Have you ever seen yourself in the mirror?
Staff, please bring me the mirror and put it here.
Excuse me, what do you mean?
I mean, look at yourself. You are fat. Oh no, you are obese, right?
Oh my god! Yeah, that's right. Plus, you don't have any rules and regulations saying that plus size people can be in your competition?
Yes, but I don't want any fat people to wear my design.
I don't want to see one of these comedians in my show. Get out of here!
It's so ridiculous. Are you kidding me? If you kick them out, we also go out.
Yes, none of us will wear your design.
Yeah.
You think you're famous enough? Maybe Wu? David Tony?
Yeah. Yes. Okay, let's go, guys.
Hi everybody. Being big is not a fact. It's all about respect. Respect to the others in our community. Despite that, we have to also look at our health. So we have to always respect each other. So we should stop these discriminations against obese people from now.
Yes. So guys, this looks like this is the end of our show for today. Thank you so much for watching us. Stay tuned for next season. Until then, see you all. Bye.
Thank you very much for the audience. Right, okay. We shall proceed to the next slideshows. Right, obesity. Just now it's all about discriminations of obesity. Right. So, what is actually the definitions of body weight itself, body mass index? Obesity falls, from 30 to 34.9. Right, everybody knows that. Okay. So basically, yay, we are the winner. As much as we want to be the winner all the time, the first of everything, Malaysia boleh, you're also the biggest in Asia, Southeast Asia, right, with 44.2 BMI. Okay. So obesity, a bit of obesity in Malaysia from the National Health Medical Surveillance. The studies has been since 1996 to 2015, whereby it has been for the past 20 years. It has been a very high rate of obesity incidence in Malaysia. So body mass index, we are using body mass index from WHO, and it is by locality. Putrajaya, Putrajaya has the highest obesity incidence, right? So, and followed by Sabah. Okay, not followed by Sabah. The lowest is Sabah. Maybe they are very hardworking people with the demographically they are very big. They're moving more than us. So I think so. The apparently from NHMS, we can exclude lah. All group except 75 years old generally display mild increase obesity. Yeah, okay, they eat slow, they eat low, they don't much move, but although they don't much move, but they don't eat much yourself. But the adults between 55 to 59 years old is the highest prevalence of obesity. Okay, as you can see, you can further see the posters around you. We paste this now. Okay. However, the prevalence of obesity is consistently higher among female. Yeah, female. So watch out, female. Next. Right. Next, I would like to call upon Mr. Vijay, yeah, to show us more videos for us.
Thank you, Ms. MC. A very good morning, Dr. Mas. Before we go on for the next video, actually, I would like to say something about videos. What we did, all our group members did, is like we go to the route, we went for the public and so on. We got a different perspective from the view of the people outside, actually, the view about their things, what they're saying about obesity and so on. Apart from that, we have separated the videos based on the discrimination against those who have been experienced in professional fields, non-professional fields, even childhood obesity. Rather than that, even we have got views from public regarding the other factors which is contributing for the obesity. So hope you all enjoy. Thanks for your attention. Thanks.
Hai, selamat pagi. Saya Suraya. Saya pernah menjadi mangsa diskriminasi mengenai orang yang bersaiz besar. Sebenarnya tak semua orang yang bersaiz besar ni lembab, tidak boleh bekerja lebih. Saya orang yang menganggap orang bersaiz besar ni sangat negatif, sangat bodoh, sangat yang tidak ada masa depan. Tolong ubah pemikiran anda. Terima kasih.
Discriminated in this situation. I don't have any experience from discrimination from my own way because
You mean here in Malaysia? I think the situation is
in
good.
Malaysia, in my family, my friend, my working day.
Oh, okay. And
Pun tak boleh sebab orang family kami pun sendiri faham bola badan besar ni atas sebab apa dan kita tahu kesihatan dia macam mana. Jadi kita boleh kita tak ada nak cakap kita ni bagus sangat. Jadi dan orang selain kami, selain saya sendiri pun tak ada mencas orang gemuk ni tak bagus. Not good people. The body big not really. No, don't have. All my kawan-kawan saya sekeliling pun, kawan-kawan sekerja pun melayan kami seperti orang biasa. Seperti pekerja biasa, tak ada diskriminasi atau apa-apa. Jadi untuk menambahkan satu peraturan baru untuk orang selain kami rasa tak perlu.
okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
See you again.
Okay.
Nama saya Nazira, Metabolic Syndrome, umur saya 26 tahun. Dan untuk diskriminasi terhadap obesiti, saya pernah mengalami masalah obesiti. Sebelum ni berat saya pernah mencecah 98 kilogram. Untuk diskriminasi terhadap obesiti ni, saya memang untuk orang-orang yang obesiti ni memang selalu bila kita berdepan dengan orang ramai, orang akan pandang kita lain macam. Kita kurang keyakinan diri. Kenapa saya kata kurang keyakinan diri? Bila kita dah pernah kena macam tu, kita akan rasa macam dah malas nak jumpa dengan orang lain. Kita rasa macam kita tak yakin yang diri kita boleh keluar jumpa dengan orang lain. So kita akan terperak. Lepas tu kadang-kadang kita boleh menyebabkan depres. Bila kita depres ni, kadang-kadang macam kita kata lah, saya boleh lah nak nasihat. Kalau macam kita orang yang obesiti ni, kalau kita rasa diri kita nak ubah diri kita tu, kita plan, kita buat. Kita jangan kita plan tinggi tahun saja. Plan awal tahun nak push sampai bulan 10 nombor tahun. So kita macam setiap apa yang kita buat tu doa untuk jaga pemakanan. Macam orang kata lah, kalau bersenam sampai 3 jam pun tapi kalau kita tak ada, jangan malu. Kita kena yakin dengan diri kita sendiri. Mungkin kita rasa kita tak ada peluang untuk dalam budaya. Terima kasih Cik atas kerjasama yang diberikan. Sama.
Have you ever had any experience of discrimination or
didn't like that. Everyone out there, don't judge people by their body, because body shaming is not good at all. Make them like shameful. I think we must respect each other, and that I know that us in the body, in the obesity body, we are trying to keep our body fit. So I think please just support our effort to be ideal in physically. Thank you very much, Marissa. Thank you.
Fat is not about eating only. You have metabolism problem. Sometimes you have you give birth. Sometimes you take medicine. I have a friend who she had to go and take medicine every 6 months, or not she'll be paralyzed. Take this special medication that make her very hungry. You don't have to go further. My own mother, alhamdulillah, she is a cancer survivor. She had to take medicine and everything. So during her chemotherapy and everything, she lost weight. She really lost weight and everything. She had no appetite to eat and everything. But once after the radiotherapy, after the chemotherapy, she started to take this medicine, and she has to take it for 5 years. And that medicine is making her hungry, like really hungry. So sometimes we have to understand why this person, tend to be has sex. It can be also dangerous. The key point is just make sure you balance out your food, and make sure you just try to sweat, try to exercise to your. So please don't discriminate, and try to think, be empathy, and try to think from their point of view, what would they feel when we say something harmful to them.
Thank you for your time. Really love you.
Thank you for your attention. We will now proceed with our forum. I will call upon all the panelists to go up to the stage. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our panels. We'll be talking about obesity. Right, we will start with Dr. Umi. Dr. Umi, the first up. Can you tell us more about the widespread problem, about obesity stigma? Share with us your point of view.
Okay, thank you very much, moderator. Very good morning, everyone. Sorry. Alright. Before I answer the question from the moderator, maybe I will show to you all about this interesting video. Maybe it also can answer the question from moderator.
What's the hardest part of living with obesity?
The feeling that I'm being judged, whatever I choose to eat.
nagging sense that I'm an embarrassment to my kids.
Stares and people who stare.
The look of dread on every passenger next to an empty seat.
That first glance that tells me I failed the interview before it's even started.
Knowing that I just don't fit in to the seats or life in general.
Wondering if I'll ever feel comfortable on a beach.
The fear that I won't be around to meet any grandchildren.
Actually, the hardest part of living with obesity is people thinking that I brought it on myself. I wish everyone understood.
It is so much more than eat less and move more.
Obesity is a complex disease.
Not a life choice.
Let's help change attitudes.
Let's lose the weight of stigma.
Alright. So, from the video, we know that this is the widespread problem. You can find this stigmatized occur whenever. And how the stigma can be occurred? This is the confluence of the 5 processes. The first thing, when you find the difference from yourself, you start labeling the person. And when you start labeling, it's linked to negative side. You try to find undesirable characteristic. Maybe I'm beauty and you're not. So I start to label you're not beauty. And then you start spread it from yourself to the others, us versus them. And then it tends to discriminate the person, because majority person who has been stigmatized is a minority one. And how the power difference, it can lead the discrimination. If you look from the study of the pool in the 2008, the weight discrimination is in the 4th rank. This is our part as a health specialist, as a public health specialist. How about to change gender? Female can be changed to male. It will be transgender, right? How about the race? Age, getting older, and will be the younger, it can be changed also. How about weight? Because stigma is not come from society itself, but also from the people who has stigma. I mean that from as a health practitioner, as a public health specialist, did you know that we can do the things from the weight, how to control the weight from the patient and also from the society itself. This is the study from the tracker, and we know that more fatter people, more leisure, more undisciplined. It also happened in hamburgers. Maybe I will ask you, the Dr. Nadia, is it right in heart care?
I will talk about it later.
Okay.
Remember the survey monkey? I'll talk to you guys later.
Right. And it will be effect to the adulthood. Because when the people, from the video we know that when the people have the fat, obese, So it will impact the feelings and be rejection. So I'm fat, so I can't get a handsome male. It can be effect to the relationship. Why we should care? Because this stigma, it happens everywhere. Employment, education, the childhood, even families and friends also we discriminate the person with obesity.
Okay, Dr. Umi, can I add on something?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you guys get our outlines of presentation here today. So first we talk about metabolic syndrome, and you guys know that there is 5 components of metabolic syndrome. So we choose only one, which we talk about obesity. So right now, I'm blocking the, sorry. So right now we talk about obesity, and we are actually talking about obesity discrimination. And we, along the way, we tell you guys why actually we talk about this discrimination. So this is our outflow. So this panel will actually talk about their point of view, different point of view in terms of discrimination in employment, education, healthcare, media, and interpersonal relations. So please bear with us. And remember that if you guys pay attention, we will give you guys prizes at the end of the session. So please bear with us, okay?
Yes.
So back to you.
Okay, thank you. Alright, maybe the next panel will be explain more about this these topics. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Umi. I shall call upon Dr. Daya, our matron, to talk about the gender stigma on weight stigma.
Okay, thank you to our moderator. Today, before I discuss further about this topic, I would like to share with all of you about one study done in Malaysia among physiotherapy students. So in this recent study, actually they found that male experience weight stigma compared to female, and male also experience being bullied by the friends more than female, and they has lower willpower to control the weight compared to female, as they do not blame people for body size. So from this study, we realize that this problem is not only occur outside of our country, but it's happened in Malaysia too. Stop blaming us. Stop blaming obese people. This is not the diet that matters today, but it is the mental part that we need to help and deal with. Obese people also being stigmatized due to the way they lost their weight. From the study done by Vatanian and Fodoli 2013, they found that if the obese person use a surgery like bariatric surgery to reduce the weight, they actually are giving a less effort than behavioral weight loss. So consequences or the impact of being stigmatized, it can lead into 2 major problems, which are psychological stress and poor physical health. And under psychological stress, people who being stigmatized tend to have body dissatisfaction, lower self-esteem, increased shame and guilt, and also reduce their exercise motivation. And from the psychological stress itself, it leads to the poor physical health, where people who experience weight stigma, they tend to have higher body blood pressure, poor self-rated health, reduce the self-efficacy to engage in physical activity, and worst scenario, it lead to the eating disorder. So from this impact, actually, we know this problem can grow into bigger if we do not prevent it from now. So I pass back to Ms. Moderator.
Yes. It's easier without the microphone. Anyway, thank you, Mitran. How funny it is, male gets more stigmatized when the woman actually having prevalence higher than the man. How is that? Sensitive man. Now, we shall move to our dietitian, Poon Poon, to elaborate more how to go see.
Yes, thank you, moderator. Good morning to everyone. So this part I'll be sharing like how the obese people feel. Like
in the society. So this is how they feel. They actually like a culture to be blamed in a society. So this is not just come out from my mouth, but there is actually a study being conducted in Australia at the Monash University there. Their target participants, they are taken 76 obese individuals, which mostly of them are 62 females. And the aim of this study is actually to address the issues of concern to obese people. So below here are actually the expressions from the obese people side, where they actually feel overwhelmed, disturbed, and also disheartened, depressed by the publicity about their condition. They also feel disrespected and not understood by the medical practitioners, and they also feel victimized, criticized by their current social attitudes about their size. Actually, nearly all of them said actually they experience humiliation and discrimination regarding their weight, and 50% of the participants also described because they being discrimination, big stigma, which makes them like feel poor mental or emotional health. Then after that, these articles is actually I find from online. This is one of the real case, which is from overseas. This female names Liana Jenkins. So she talked about like how she feels because she is also obese female. Like obese individuals, like she said, tends to be stigmatized as lazy, unmotivated, lacking in self-discipline, or mentally unwell. And even though they are being judged as though their condition is their own fault, like they're obese is because their lack of discipline, is because they didn't eat well, they didn't like protect themselves well. So this is their obese, like they are being judged. And she herself also found trapped in a vicious cycle of mental health that caused weight gain because she being stigmatized, so her mental, emotional not so good. So when she like feel not so good and she eat a lot, then this cause also weight gain, like it's a cycle. So she also got shared about at one time when she went to a built mental health unit, she was told to sleep on the floor. Why she being told to sleep on the floor is because there is no suitable bed for her size. And also, she was told to go home without professional support. Why? It's because there is no special facilities for her. So this is what she said. But at last, luckily, she overcome this discrimination. So this is why there is an article showing up, fighting fat shaming. So I think empowerment and also supportation is a very important. Why? Because actually she joined the Helping Overcome Obesity Problem charity, which actually a group of obese people. They share their opinions or their barriers during the weight reduction procedure, which actually this supportation helps her to reduce of the weight. Okay, so not just of the public, but also like normal people, like celebrities also feel like they are being body shamed. Like for example, as we all know, Kelly Clarkson, Rihanna, when the weight increase, actually a lot of people also like saying why your weight is increasing, why you become so big size. So this is also actually a discrimination or weight stigmatized. And then there is a very famous American actress, which is also a nominee from Oscar. Her name is Gabrielle Saidai. So she actually, obese since small, and she's a very famous actress. In one of the New York Fashion Week, she is a keynote speaker where she took the opportunity to talk about the discrimination plus-size women face in the fashion world. So she actually experienced a lot of body shame, like being bullied, being called names, and being told to lose weight. And when she hit to the red carpet, because normally actors they need to attending those awards. There is actually no designers want to design dress for her. Why? It's because she was too fat. So no designer want to design a dress for her. So I feel like this one is quite sad. Because obesity, discrimination, weight stigmatized is still a lot outside the world. So there are still a lot of work to be done in this part. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Poon. Without further ado, we would like to call upon regarding obesity in education by Ms. Kavita, the school counselor.
Hi, everyone. So being a school teacher, let's see what's actually happening in our school today. we often talk about our kids being obese and we tease them, discriminate them, blame them, but that is the downstream we are looking at. How about the upstream, the contributors? Do society actually care? These are the foods being sold out of the school compound, even in the canteen. There are rules and regulations today in in Malaysia, but how many people care actually about these regulations? This is the news that came out in May 10, 2015 on Star Online. Obesity in kids, it's a problem that needs a solution. It means it's a major problem that's occurring currently in our nation. And as you can see, Brazil is also having similar problem. So discrimination. Okay. When these kids are obese, from what I observed in my school, they are often being the target of their friends. Often being called fatty boom, fat jokes, ridicule them, discriminate them, isolate them. So all this will actually bring negative impact to the kids. Not only talking about peers, but it also being contributed by our fellow teachers in school. You know, when teachers, later in a slide I will talk about it, teachers in a sports education, for example, we have Pendidikan Jasmani, the sports physical activity. Often how many these fat kids, overweight kids actually join this kind of sports? Very rare. And teacher always marks a mark saying that we need this kind of characteristic kids to join this particular sport. For example, like long jump, you know, we need somebody tall and of course fit. Okay, talking about the education in school, we all know today that most children are being taught in school at early age that it is unacceptable to treat people differently because of their race or gender. But how many teachers out there or parents out there are actually teaching these children that it is equally unacceptable to ridicule, to tease, to even physically harm these overweight children, being their friends, peers in school? So I believe this should be implanted in these kids at a very young age, early age. So teach your kids, teach your neighbors' kids, whoever you see, young people, not to discriminate others. We as humans, we tend to judge. It's fine, it's okay, you judge a person, he's overweight, obese, but do not discriminate. The implications of discrimination. What happens to these young children? They tend to have high risk of psychological and social problems. This impact negatively on the economy of nation, impair psychological development, their quality of life, their academic and social performance. When these kids grow up as adolescents, you know, adolescents are always dependent on their peer circle for their identity, for their confidence, you know. They are fit, good looking, good hairstyle, they feel more confident. But when these overweight people, they are isolated, they lack of confidence, which will impact their psychological problem, be it mental health or physical health. Everything will be affected. Okay? And we often talk about youth being the nation's pride. They are the future of our nation. But we overlook into all these negative effects. So there's a big impact on the economy of nation. Does obesity affect school performance? This happens. when they have got no self-confidence, they don't mingle with people around, they don't share knowledge, they don't exchange thoughts, they have got no confidence among themselves. So how this then will lead to employment, their future, everything is affected from the early age to their secondary school, their employment. See, social development, hinder their social development, because rarely this group of people, they have got no social support and they feel isolated. Okay, so I have students walking into my counseling room because they are emotionally down. Why? Because they are bullied more often. When you are obese, overweight, you become the target of your friends. Not only friends, teachers. You look at this picture, it says it all. Everything says in this picture. When all of his friends are actively doing physical activities, why is he sitting down there? Why no teachers to encourage him, motivate him? Or these friends can actually call him to join him. So these are the loopholes that we are having in our education system today. Okay, poor gradings, I've already covered that. Okay, talking about this, losing the opportunity to adopt children. This not only from the society or family who wants to adopt a kid, definitely they will look for somebody who's a child who's good looking, beautiful and so on. But it also happens in school where we have programs like mentor-mentee. Teachers often would like to have children who are good looking, you know. So this has to stop. You look at this picture, isn't it really heartbreaking to see this? This red graph are overweight or obese child. This yellow are healthy child. These are the factors that is affecting these obese kids. Okay, and look at the bullying. It's the highest, and it shows 36% of obese kids are actually being bullied these days. How safe is our country for our children? This is just another example. What I would like to emphasize is in school environments, when teachers themselves or the administrators of the school themselves come up with this kind of discrimination, judgment, harassment, it creates a toxic environment for this kind of overweight students. So with that, I hope we could improvise on our education system in school. I would like to pass to Ms. Mona, our moderator. Thank you, Ms. Kavita. Yes, having kids who are obese, I would like to just share with you my own kids. They are big somehow when they're small, so I try to trim them down. But my uncle says, no, don't, please don't. I like them like that way because it's easy to cuddle and it's like a bear to cuddle. My goodness. And now alhamdulillah she's fine. Anyway, it is a multi-sector, so multi-discipline, a multi-level responsibility to address obesity in children. Without further ado, I would like to call upon Miss Adila to talk about obesity in our workplace. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Mona. Our moderator for today. Are you guys still okay? I thought you guys are a bit like already sleepy. Okay. Okay, if you guys want to refreshment, just eat whatever we gave lah just now. Okay. So discrimination in workplace. I'm glad that I'm here today to share about the discrimination in the workplace. Is it really happening in our community? So Morris et al. In 2014 found that persons with obesity have higher unemployment rates even when considering education status and spend few years to be employed. In employment, an essential qualification for employment of a person is that the employee must be physically mobile. As employer, they are reluctant to engage with them either because they are considered a burden to the employer. Generally, obese people are discriminated against when applying for jobs and when hired. They are more likely to be made redundant on the basis of the weight. This is what Maurice et al. Find out. So is it really true? So I'm gonna talk about the true stories behind this study. Look at this girl. His name's Karen. She's name's Karen. She works for the clothing company, and at first she was accepted as a receptionist. So as a receptionist at the clothing company, they were supposed to wear the uniforms from them. But as she's worked there, she gained weight, so they are out of size from size 14 to 18. So from that, being a receptionist, she had to transfer to another department, which is the post room, where we distribute letter only from the front line to the back line. So everyone accepted it as a normal decision, including herself, and she thought that it was her fault that I should haven't gained the weight. And then secondly, Peggy Howell, she is a counselor, but she said that she had been a fat person all my life. I went from being a chubby kid to a fat teenager to a fat adult. When she was employed as a counselor, her bosses said that you are a counselor, how can you help people when you don't help yourself because you are obese? So she was forced to reduce her weight, but failed to do so. She was forced to quit from the job. Till that extent, the discrimination in the workplace happened in this society. So protect right of obese workers. Professor of Dr. Ashar, lecturer at Faculty of Law in IIUM, the University of in Malaysia, mentioned that an employer cannot simply dismiss the employee because of obesity unless they can prove that it not only has impact on their business but also incapability of this obese employee to perform the task effectively, besides exposing the employee to occupational injury and illness, among others. I hope from these true stories, I hope that I can give an eye-opener to you guys about discriminations in the workplace. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Abdullah. Wow. So before you attend an interview, you must make sure you are slim. Okay? Inshallah, you will get the job. Anyway. So there's objection, of course. The facts of life, yeah? Okay, next, we would like to talk about Dr. Nadila, public health specialist, will also give us some sort of idea of obesity in healthcare. Let us see what she's gonna give us.
So, okay, first I would like to introduce myself. So just now in the drama, I am Miss Nadia Lavida. So I'm no longer Miss Nadia Lavida. So I'm now Dr. Nadia, a physician, public health specialist in the future. So, do you guys think that discrimination in healthcare occurs? Yes. Does it exist? So remember I asked you guys to do us a favor by answering the survey monkey. So do you guys excited to know what's the answer? Yes. So let's see, either this class is brilliant or not. So yeah, 80% of the class answer correctly. So surprisingly, right, because we are the healthcare provider and as a healthcare profession, we shouldn't actually discriminate. So there's a few studies then I would like to share a study that recruited 2,400 female respondents, and in this study, 69% of them actually facing discrimination from physicians, and surprisingly, it is from the doctor themselves. And 52% of them reported that they have been stigmatized in multiple occasions. And there is another study back in 1992 looking at the perception of nurses towards obese patients, and 31% of them actually stated they prefer not to take care of this obese patient. So, why? Okay, so there is an interesting study by Rebecca Puth et al. They did a study twice, once in 2001 and another study in 2010, to actually look, and they found that there is an increase in discrimination throughout the last decade. And surprisingly, healthcare professions share the same portion of thoughts. I would like to share, because there is a lot of sharing this now, this is just a simple one. So if you guys interested, you can go to obesityaction.org to read more on this article. So this Melinda J. Whitman, Redmond. So she's actually a clinician and also a former individual affected by obesity. So according to her, she has the advantages and disadvantages of being at both sides of the fence. So remember our Hippocrates oath. Who can remember? So basically it's do no harm, right? So I would like to quote her statement by Melinda. Why? Even caregivers who first concern is to do no harm, so commonly harbor this bias, and what can be done about it? So yeah, why we have to stand up against this stigma, and why it's important to openly talk about weight stigma? So yeah, study shows that healthcare stigma can actually hinder our nation's effort to actually go against to fight the obesity epidemic. We all know, right? Obesity is epidemic, and Malaysia in Southeast Asia is the winner, the champion. Yeah. So again, I would like to emphasize the importance to fight against this stigma is because if people are stigmatized, they will become demotivated to lose weight, and they will actually cause greater eating disturbance. Means they already have the eating disturbance, and when we stigmatize the eating disturbance will become greater. Low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, and body image dissatisfaction, and they will become reluctant to actually seek medical help. So, study by Flynn SW again emphasize that we all should go against this stigma because it's very essential to ensure effective obesity treatment. And they suggest training practitioners to actually have this stigma awareness. So that's why we all talk about stigma today. And you guys, I'm sure you guys are aware this is the NHMS. I'm sharing the NHMS in 2011. So this actually projected that by 2020, the prevalence of obesity in 2020 is 3.6 million. But surprisingly, NHMS in 2015 reported that actually we have exceeded the projection. And obesity rate in 2015 is 2.6%, higher than the prevalence that's been reported. So yeah, that's all. Back to you, Dr. Mona.
Thank you, Dr. Nadia. That's the thing. I wonder. We have army, we have police people, police department. They are very conscious about weight. Yes, I think most of them, if they persistently having high weight obesity, they will be terminated. So I wonder whether healthcare can do that or not, because it's listed in their policies of that matter. Right. Next panel will be talking on Together Against Discrimination. I shall call upon Dr. Mustafa to elaborate more.
Thank you, Moderator, and good morning for everyone. Together Against Discrimination. Help obese people. I want to share with you about the vicious cycle of childhood obesity. This cycle should be prevented from now on. We start with healthy child, of course, and then when with the bad habits or bad teaching from parents or from the family to our children, like video games, high-fat foods, all study, no action, then this leads to mildly obese child. And I think some of mothers, or I think a lot of mothers, will be happy at this stage because of their children gain some weight, and this is the beginning of our problem. This child will not able to do any exercise in future. I'm too tired. They cannot upstairs. Okay, then we get moderately obese child. This leads to exercise uncomfortable, painful, leads to severely obese child. At the end, we get our problem today: obese adult with asthma, diabetes, musculoskeletal disease, prevent exercise and bring on depression, low esteem, coronary artery disease, diabetes, pulmonary disease, high medical bills, mortality, and a lot of problem, a lot of challenges for health professionals. Help obese people. How can we do that? first approach them in a good way. Encourage them over time. Don't hurt their feelings or emotions. Don't be very strict with them. Maybe someday they decide to lose their weights by themselves. Source of support, of course, the main source of support is family and close relatives like mother, father, brother, maybe neighbors in neighborhood, some friends, mates at work, and so on. Respect their decision, whatever. Never give up on them. Prevent obesity. These are some advices. All of us, I think, know about them, but don't do something towards them. Avoid stress, get enough sleep, stop eating fast food, do physical exercises over time, eat more fruits and vegetables, get rid of bad habits, drink enough water, less TV. And let us come back to our beautiful country, Malaysia. And these are shocking numbers or shocking facts for you. High costs of obesity. The obesity epidemic in Malaysia comes with a large price to pay. If we say to this picture, what we see, 48.2% normal and underweight. What other percents? 13.3 overweight, and the shocking numbers for us are 38.5 obese people in Malaysia. So someone should do something towards that. 73 of total deaths are due to non-communicable diseases. 20% of Malaysians aged between 30 and 70 have a chance of dying from four major non-communicable diseases. Cardiovascular disease, diabetes, cancer, and chronic respiratory diseases. And these are the total cost of obesity, direct and indirect, as percentage of healthcare spending. And this study was done for 6 countries in South Asia. You see, Malaysia is one over 6 countries in healthcare spending by 1 to 2 billion, as a percent from 10% to 20% approximately. Then Indonesia, then Vietnam. And what about nominal GDP? Malaysia also comes 1 over 6 countries through South of Asia. Productive years lost, male and female. Malaysia, our country of course, Malaysia comes 2 over 6 by lost years, from 6 years to 11 years. After that, for female, also Malaysia come 1 over 6, from 7 years to 12 years. Thank you very much, and pass to our director.
Thank you, Dr. Mustafa. Yeah, to be big, expensive. Yeah, to handle obesity, medically, expensive. So we just have to tackle it from the beginning, right? So without further, actually we are at the end of our forum. Just to add the spicing up, we actually invited our friend from Nigeria to share with us the complexity of these discriminations, obesity at her part of work.
Assalamualaikum, a very morning or afternoon now. Very good afternoon to everyone. So I would like us to fasten our seatbelt as we are about to fly to Nigeria in the next 5 minutes. So before we get there, I would like to give us a brief history about Nigeria. So Nigeria is actually known as a giant of Africa because of the population. So it's a country in West Africa and it shares its border with Benin, Chad, Cameroon, and Niger. Its capital city is Abuja. It has 36 states and 1 federal capital territory. Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa and the 8th in the world. So we have about roughly 140 million people in my country with 250 different cultures and languages. So the culture is considerably defined by its many ethnic groups. So the 3 biggest tribes we have is Hausa Fulani, mostly from the north, the Igbo from the southeast, and the Yoruba from the southwest. So I'm actually from Yoruba tribe. Sorry. So what is the obesity prevalence in Africa, in Nigeria? So, So from Nigeria, I think it's actually more than 7%, because we are still mostly suffering from wasting. So I think now the obesity is now coming up in my country. And according to 2015 data, so the 2.7 of African children will be overweight by 2020. Then the prevalence of overweight and obesity increased by 20% between 2002 and 2010. So the situation in my country, we have, before now, obesity is actually seen as a sign of prestige in my country. If you are plus size, the men will really be happy about you. They will want to marry you. So that's the situation before. The plus size women are actually viewed with honor. So they are it is seen as a sign of wealth, a sign of good nutrition. So slim size people are actually seen as a sign of poverty or ill treatment after marriage. So then we have the issue of fattening room before marriage, where our girls will be subjected to 2 months fattening room. They will be fed with so many fatty foods for 2 months, and they will actually use big sticks to beat their body in order to distribute the fat across the various parts of their body. So it's very shameful. So I think in 2002, the government tried to put a ban on the issue of fattening room. A kind of experience I had when I was small was, I actually have a friend that was so big. So I used to envy her. I also want to become big. So one day I asked her, what is it that you normally eat that makes you very plump? She said she used to take eggs. So I was like, wow. Since that day, I usually used to keep my pocket money. So in order to use it to buy eggs, because I want to be so plump. So that was the message then in my country. But now, and some of our men, they believe they want to get married to fatty women because they don't want to get married and start looking for their wife on the bed, especially when there is no light. So they want big size women. So you even believe that there's no need of buying big beds when your wife is very thin. So they want a very big woman. So, but now I think there is a little bit change in the issue in my country now, because I myself have experienced it on 3 occasions where I have to pay for an oversized lady because the driver was trying to threaten her that you're going to spoil my tire if I carry you. So you need to pay for 2 persons. So I actually have to help her. So that's the situation in my country now. So plus size people, they actually pay extra charges in public transport compared with the normal size people. So there is issue of body shaming. So they body shame them, you are fat, oh, you smell, oh, you snow. So many things like that. So there is even a fear of divorce or fear of being abandoned by the spouse. So the spouse tends to abandon them. You are too fat. Perhaps when I got married to you, you were very slim, very charming, all this kind of hatred. So to the extent that some people even try to seek spiritual help. They try to go to the pastors to pray for them. They pay them money. You can find a lot of this issue on YouTube, where the pastor they try to kind of make money out of this obesity issue. So there's a kind of this one is from the fashion line, I think in US. So this girl actually faced a kind of agony just because she was a plus size lady. So there is a threatening of obesity among healthcare workers provider in Nigeria, and it's actually a danger to long-term health worker retention. So we can see from this study conducted by Sandra Omo-Eyo. So she actually concluded that the obesity was prevalent among Nigerian health service providers, and this calls for concern, especially with the implication of losing health workers to obesity-related disorder and early retirement. So, what do we have against discrimination in my country? Actually, I tried to search online. We don't have studies, but based on the interview I conducted with one of my friends at home, I tried to call her to let me interview the obese people so as to know their view. And with what I've also experienced myself, so presently there is no law in my country against plus size discrimination. So no law to back them up. So if somebody discriminates you, you cannot take them to court. So individual way, we only have individual way of coping with plus size discrimination. One of it is exercise, healthy lifestyle, high self-esteem, education, confidence, self-love, and always be prepared for unwanted situation. Then, a kind of thing I've witnessed with this, always be prepared with unwanted situation, was when I was doing my youth service in my country. There's actually a plus size lady, and this case was, we need to stay in camp for 3 weeks, where we will be subjected to military training and some empowerment program. So they used to give us a cloth, like uniform that everybody will wear. So when it comes to the turn of this lady, we are all on the queue, and the person in charge told her they don't actually have a size. So we were all dumbfounded. We were like, what is she going to do? And she cannot wear any other clothes except for that particular uniform. So she just went inside her cubicle, and when she came out, we were all surprised. She actually prepared her own clothes. She sewed her own clothes to the camp because she doesn't want anybody to feel sorry for her. So it's good if you can have a kind of always prepare for unwanted situation, so that nobody will feel sorry for you. So I think with this, I will come to the end of my presentation. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Anti-Price is no longer discrimination against obesity over in Nigeria. It's more obviously people. So basically, it's not good. Our men would love to have big. In Malaysia, I think we are different. The woman will go bigger towards the end of the marriage, right? So okay, we have finally come to the conclusion part, whereby we will call upon Ms. Dr. Vijay to conclude this forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. Okay, overall from the presentation, hopefully you guys have got to know actually what exactly regarding the metabolic syndrome, the stigma that has been present in our society, the discrimination that happened even in professional fields, even in non-profit as well, even obviously start from the ground level, which is from childhood session as well. Apart from that, the approach that we need, from the society is, we as a public officer is support them, respect them, and last but not least, we have to say, never give up on them actually. We have some important duties to go after this. And last but not least, please don't easily judge people and don't be judgmental. Thank you.
Thank you for coming today.